Good morning. Welcome to episode 5 of That Morning Cup. Cheers. I hope everybody's week went well and everybody's getting excited for the weekend. I've been thinking the past couple of days, especially finishing Epictetus, Discourses and Selected Writings. I was thinking about just goal making and goal achieving and paradigm shifts and people just trying to achieve things that they set out. And what I was thinking is, I believe a lot of people fail, and something that we can do to assure ourselves or make the percentage that we will fail a goal that we set out, whether that's, anything with fitness or job related, money, whatever, right? Whether you want to run a marathon, you want to compete in a bodybuilding show, you want to start your own business, you want to start eating clean, you want to read X amount of books, whatever it may be. I think what people have to do is really sit down and think about it in grave detail, or great detail, rather. Now, what do I mean by this? I think you need to sit and really grasp what it's going to take to achieve this goal that you are setting out, and understand the lifestyle change that needs to occur, especially if it is a drastic and a big goal that you're setting, an ambitious goal. Now, I want to preface this whole topic and this whole talk with, I do think that there's a time and place for going after a goal, no matter how ambitious it is or how big the goal may be, where you just have to kind of just jump right in and get your hands dirty. I think that a lot of people suffer from analysis paralysis, and they never actually get started because they think of everything that can go wrong and they try to secure all their bases before they start. And I don't think at any point, no matter what you do, you're going to completely avoid disaster or setbacks or hardships or whatnot. So, although I do think there's a time and place for just jumping in, not really thinking about it, just going after it and suffering through it and making it to the other end, relying on pure grit, I think there's some steps we could do beforehand to ensure we have the best chance of succeeding. And like I was saying before, I really think people need to think their decisions through and go into such detail your eyeballs bleed, and do this for maybe a couple days before you make a decision or you set a goal or whatnot, and think, okay, what's going to have to change? What am I going to have to do differently? How am I going to arrange my time? And really think how hard the decision is going to be. We'll start with eating healthy. People set out the goal of, I'm going to eat for a month completely clean and not have any junk food or whatnot. And they're riding off motivation, right? And we've heard this over and over again. It's, I think, a horse that's been beaten to a pulp, where people say, don't rely on motivation. You need something deeper, which is true. You can't completely rely on motivation, but when you feel motivated and you make an ambitious goal, think about what it's going to take. And think of scenarios that could pop up where it's going to get really difficult. And understand that's part of it. If you set this big goal and achieving this goal of, in the month that I'm eating clean, I might get invited somewhere and there might be a table of hors d'oeuvres, if you will, that do not fit the criteria of the goal that I'm trying to achieve. And you need to understand beforehand that it's going to suck to say no to that, but that's what has to happen to achieve this goal. There's going to be nights that you're going to go to bed hungry if weight loss is the goal. And there's going to be times where no matter how bad you want to eat, you can't. And if you do, you technically are failing the goal you set for yourself. And I believe a lot of people fall into this cycle of setting a goal, failing it, setting a goal, failing it, and it destroys people's confidence in their ability to achieve things. And that is because they did not think about seriously what it's going to take to achieve it. Now, I don't want people to do this to the point where they decide, I'm not even going to set this goal because I'm afraid I'm going to fail it. It's good to fail, obviously. But really think about how hard things are going to be. I think we downplay how difficult things are going to be. With me going into this marathon, I took a couple weeks to think about it because I'm like, man, I really dislike running. And there's going to be training sessions and days where I have to go run and not lift or do both or whatnot when I'm really, really do not want to do it. And I've already ran into those multiple times, but I was prepared for it, as prepared for it, I guess, as you can be. Quick little update on the marathon prep thing. I can't call it a prep because it's not official prep. I haven't bought a plan or anything. I'm just doing it, free solo, just sending it. I have hamstring pain, and I don't know what's causing it. So I'm taking maybe this whole week off because I kind of pushed through it the past couple runs, and I wake up in the morning and almost can't bend my leg. It's fucking brutal. I've been extensively stretching, icing it, doing like hot baths, then icing it or whatnot. Then I've been doing, ice cold baths and chilling in there for like 10 minutes to try to see if something will happen here. I don't know. I ran a couple days ago and it was fine during the run. After the run, I was like, whoa, bro. It was so just inflamed and achy. It's like, it hurts to the touch. It's my right knee on the left side, but like towards the hamstring, right where that turn happens. I think it's like the MCL. I don't know. I don't think anything's like torn, obviously, but I think something's sore and it's not used to the running yet. So we got to kind of pump the brakes a little bit, pull back for the next week or so, and then hopefully gear up and get running again. And I need to start running at a slower pace, not just, running all out every single run. I have to remember I'm in a marathon prep here, and I need to run more miles, but just take them a little bit slower, not just haul ass and try to, get 10 miles at a crazy pace. It's not how that works. I've been doing my studying, so. But enough whining and back into the topic. So, like I was saying, think about what it's genuinely going to take. Do your research. Understand that there's going to come times where it is going to take every ounce of your body, your being, every atom in your soul to say no to something or to bring yourself to do whatever it is you need to do to achieve the goal. And if you don't think you could achieve that, maybe try to find a smaller goal or a different goal, or fail. I don't want to discourage people from not trying something because they've thought about it and they've thought it through and they're like, man, I don't know if I'm capable of that. Because I think everybody's capable of anything, obviously, if you don't have, disabilities physically. But I also don't want people to, try something 10,000 times and failing it 10,000 times, because that's not great for the self-confidence. And that might do more damage in setting goals and cause you to kind of crawl into your shell and not set goals anymore. I think that does more damage of failing or of failing 10,000 times and not having the confidence than if you were to maybe by your own decision making decide, I'm actually not going to attempt this right now, but I'm going to maybe do a littler goal and work up to that goal because you fully thought of everything that's required to achieve it. And don't be one of those people that says, I'm going to do this and this and this, and I forget what the study is and where I heard it, but they say you get a dopamine rush telling people that you're going to achieve some goal, right? I'm going to run a marathon. I plan to run a marathon. People get a dopamine rush from that. I'm going to write a book in 2026, or I'm going to do this. And people get addicted to just saying they're going to do something and not doing it. And I hate that. It bugs me to no end, especially when I get invested in somebody, like they say they're going to do this, or this, and then I help them, or I cheer them on. I get so invested in them. I'm like, oh man, I can't wait till they achieve this. And then they're doing nothing to achieve it. They're just lying, and it's lip service over and over again. That bothers me. Don't be one of those people. Figure out what you want to do. Set an ambitious goal and really, really work it out. Understand what it's going to take, and then prepare yourself before going into that. So then when you come up on that obstacle, or you come up on that problem, you're already aware of it and you're prepared for it. So it's not as bad. Although when you set ambitious goals, there will be times where it's going to be rough. Coffee's hitting yet again, of course. As far as books, let's have a little topic about books. I don't know if I finished Lost Causes of Bleak Creek last video. I don't think I did. I'm not totally sure. I might have. But Epictetus, Discourses and Selected Writings is done. And wow, what a good book. Took me a while. Took me, I think, like 15 days to read it, which was longer than I wanted, but it's a book that you seriously cannot rush through. And no matter how much you want to just move forward, if you didn't fully grasp the text, I highly encourage you to go back and keep rereading it and keep rereading it and keep rereading it until you understand what it's trying to say, or until you have some semblance of a grasp of the text. Even if you have to go on your phone, or preferably on a computer, and I forget the website was called Stoic. I forget what the Stoic something, Stoic AM, Stoica, something like that. Was a good website that had summaries of the chapters and whatnot, and just diving into the concepts to further understand it. So there's a lot of back and forth between book and computer, and even some YouTube videos mixed in there, so I could grasp the concepts as best as I can. And like I said to my girlfriend, she said, how did I enjoy it, whatnot, and was asking me about it, and I was like, this is definitely a book that I'm not done with. Although I read all the pages, I will be going back, taking chunks, working through it. I've already done it in my notebook for a little portion of it, just because it's a book that I think is timeless, and I think you could continue to read it over and over and over again, and you'll genuinely get something new from it. I think there were some takes that Epictetus had that were a little extreme when it came to love life and whatnot and kids, but I understand where he's coming from overall with the book, and how to live a stoic life, and to realize and to come to the epiphany that anything that's outside your control, it doesn't belong to you, right? Like, he even says your limbs are out of your control. They're this whole body. It's not yours. You don't own it. You don't own a house. You don't own land. You don't own anything. The only thing you own is your will and what is inside of your control, because the only thing you can control is your will. And I think that's extreme. Like he says, like, you don't technically own your wife and kids, you know? As crazy as that sounds, like, obviously you don't own your wife. You don't own your kids, but he goes to the extreme of, like, because you don't own them, it's out of your hands. So if something were to happen to him, like, why weep about it, you know? And I think that's extreme. I don't understand how you can get to a point of being so wise, as he would say, to not care if something happened to them. And obviously I could be misinterpreting that. You know, it sounds extreme to say not to care, but to not let it affect you a great deal if something was to happen to your loved ones. And even he says, you know, if I have to have my head cut off, cut my head off. You know, and if you have to chain up my leg because my leg does not belong to me. You know, I understand where he's coming from. I get it. But a lot of those are obviously easier said than done. I think it would take a long time, and you'd have to go against a lot of almost instinctual feelings to get to a point of being completely wise. But it's a really good book. I enjoyed it. There were some times where I really had to just, like, kind of put my head down and grind through some pages, but overall, super solid. and I urge a lot of people to read it. And take your time with it. Don't try to rush through it. Even if it takes you months to get through the book, it takes you months. Be consistent. I mean, don't be the reason it takes months. Be that you read once a week or something. But I mean, even if you pick it up and read 5-10 pages a day, but you're really working through those 10 pages, you're not just reading them and taking no information from it. I think it could have a lot of benefit for a lot of people. Obviously, it's been 2,000 years and the book is still being read by millions of people. That's another cool thing. While I was reading it, I'm like, man, somebody wrote this like 2,000 years ago. And it survived. Like, the odds of that are so slim, and we should be so grateful that we even have the opportunity to read it. Read the words of a man that lived 2,000 years ago. It's nuts. It's nuts, and I don't know how people aren't more interested in that. Brain rot, am I right? That's probably what it is, because 6-7 brain rot. I'm a fucking... I have brain rot tendencies for sure. Let's move into the 2 new books that I am reading, though. So, I've never been a 2-book type of guy, necessarily. Like, I don't know how people, were able to gamble or juggle 2, 3, 4 books at a time. But I've gotten to the point where I am definitely a 2-book guy now. And I have, like, my nighttime book. And I've come to this conclusion, or I've come to this decision because I found that I have fallen completely in love with fictional books. I love a good story now. And I couldn't bear to not have a active fictional book going, at a time when I was like reading a book like a philosophy book like Epictetus or whatnot. So with Epictetus, I was reading Lost Causes of Bleak Creek because I need a good story to go to bed to, or just I need to look forward to reading a good story, not just a informational book. So my storybook, my nighttime book, is Lord of the Flies, which is a super famous book. And I've explained in the last video how I acquired this book and whatnot. Not a crazy story. But I couldn't take it anymore looking at it and not cracking it open, so I decided to crack it open. I'm like 35 pages in. 34 pages. I'm on chapter 2. And I've only read this one night, just before bed. And I already can tell I'm going to like it. It's right up my alley. It's survival. It's the human condition. And I loved the introduction by Stephen King, who he read this, I think in the 80s or the 70s, and he absolutely loved it. This book is from 1954, but he asked a lady that was in a mobile book cart. He said, do you have any books that... Well, he got the book from a lady in a mobile book cart, but the author, he explains how the author one night was sitting around a fire at his house with his wife, and he said, I think I'm going to write a book about boys trapped on an island and whatnot, right? And he said, but I'm going to write about how boys would naturally act, how they would behave, not some fairy tale, not some happy ending or anything, but the human condition and how things would genuinely go. And so he did, and that's why we have Lord of the Flies. And you're already starting to see characteristics in certain people, like Ralph. He seems very a natural-born leader, full of himself, kind of. And he kind of takes the ropes and takes the reins naturally. He doesn't really have a fair trial with him and this other guy named Jack, who Jack leads a choir. And I could already kind of tell that there might be some head-butting going on as the story develops. And they have a character named Piggy. And he seems like a very nervous character, not too sure of himself. A lot of his sentences end prematurely, like he doesn't get his thoughts out, or he doesn't get what he's trying to say out, and he gets interrupted, or he just stops himself. And he seems very shy, nervous, not sure of his capabilities. And he has like a weird tick that he does where he takes his glasses off and rubs them. And so I'm predicting that at some point he's going to come through and save the day, kind of like a Todd Anderson from Dead Poets Society, where he's this meek character, but then he ends up standing up and going against what his body is telling him, what his personality is telling him. And I'm expecting some pretty good character development from Piggy, but I'm not totally sure. But I'm going to keep ripping through this because I know I'm going to like it. Moving on to the more educational, slower read, not so pleasurable, although there is no such thing as a non-pleasurable read. It's called The Social Conquest of Earth by Edward O. Wilson. And this is already, I feel like I say this about a lot of books, but this is a banger. I sat down and read it once yesterday, got 45 pages in, and then had some shit to do, but I could have probably kept reading this for hours. It is so interesting. So he's exploring what is the reasoning behind Homo sapiens becoming so social. And he compares us to ants, and how ants are social. And so far, what the consensus is, from what I've understood, is it has been fires, camps, being able to sit at campsites and conversating and what's the word I'm looking for? Distributing jobs and responsibilities in that. And just overall conversation, right? Just the slowing down. He talks about our primates and how they used to hunt in small groups, and when they would catch something, they would just kind of eat it there. They wouldn't bring it back to anywhere, right? Because there was no like campsite where they would store food against predators and protect themselves. So he talks about campsites, and what else does he talk about? I gotta check real quick. It's slipping my mind for some reason. So fires. So it's fires, and then fires led to us being able to cook in campsites. Which he says, ground fire spreading from lightning strikes, which is, again, I'm learning about fires from lightning strikes. So maybe Mark Bittman from Animals, Vegetables, Junk. I'm sorry, maybe you were kind of correct. But although you did say majority of fires, I'm pretty sure the word was majority, were started from lightning strikes, which I kind of disagreed with. But you may be onto something, and I might be naive and an idiot. Sorry about that. Here's an excerpt, though, that I did want to talk about. And he talks about this motivated me to run because he talks about long distance running. And there's a quote that says, where does it start? Right here. So, to express the primal joy of persistence running. When you experience the run, you relive the hunt. Running is about 30 miles of chasing prey that can outrun you in a sprint, tracking it down and bringing life back to your village. It's a beautiful thing. What was inspiring, though, was when you run, or when you experience the run, you relive the hunt. And boy, did that make me want to get up and go run a mile. It really did, though. And I was going to run yesterday after reading that, but I'm not trying to aggravate this hamstring. Because I don't want to absolutely murk myself for this prep and then just cause more problems. I just need to get it over with now that I'm multiple weeks out. I'm like 2 months out instead of, aggravating it 3 weeks out and then I'm fucked. But I'm beyond pleased with these 2 books that I'm currently reading. There's one behind me, that one, that I'm avoiding like the plague because I know it's going to be hard, but we're going to get to it. I just need to stop being a bitch. But we are 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 books on the year. This is the best I've done reading ever. I think last year I read like 12 books all year. So we're cooking. But as work starts to ramp back up, this weather gets nicer, and me and Riley are, completely full-time with landscaping again. Obviously, the reading amount is going to drastically fall off, but going back to what I was talking about earlier, this is something that I've thought about and I've prepared myself for. I know that things are going to have to change. I won't have as much freedom. There's going to be a lot more sacrificing going on. Family time, leisure time, Although, like, I enjoy reading, but obviously something that's a difficult text, like Thus Spoke Zarathustra, is not the most relaxing read you could possibly choose. So there's going to be sacrifice, and there's going to be some later nights, and I'm not going to be able to, enjoy sitting and watching something with my girlfriend like I have been most nights, or, every so often, a couple nights a week. We've been sitting watching a video or a movie or whatnot, because because I've had the free time during the day and whatnot to get my reading out of the way and taken care of. That block of reading time is going to have to go from like the morning. Now it's going to have to go to like post work, post workout, post run, whatnot. Probably around after dinner and that. But I made the goal at the beginning of the year for $24. I'm on a really good pace. I just need to keep getting after it, and I just have so much to juggle, with the business, with reading, with fitness, with YouTube, with, relationships and whatnot. And I know that there's going to be some long days, and I know that my social life, as if it's so extensive as it is, it's right now it's not super extensive. So that's not really going to change, but time with the family and that is going to be cut back for sure, just because I have so much to get done and goals that I have to achieve and that I'm doing for them. So I heard, man, I have all these insightful things to say, and I don't know where I learned them from. But let me think for half a second where I learned it from. I couldn't tell you. They said, I want to say it was Jesse Itzler, but I really don't think it was, because I can't think of anything that I watched with him recently. But nonetheless, what this person said was, at their desk, they have a picture of their kids, and then they have a picture of their wife, and in between that, I think they have on a post-it note, it said no, or it said yes. And they were talking about how every time they say yes to a decision that takes up their time, they're saying no to them, right? Yeah. I think that's what it was. Like, every time they decide to do something for leisure or whatnot, they're saying no to them. And that was pretty, like, it might have been Nick Bear. That was pretty, like, striking. I was like, oh, it just so happened to catch me. It was one of those things, like, where, you're running, listening to a podcast, and it's kind of background noise, but then they just say something, and unconsciously your body grabs it, your brain grabs it, and it's like, whoa, this is something good. And he's going on about how people invite him to golf, and if he says yes to golf, he's saying no to them, and he's saying no to spending time with them, and he's saying no to doing something productive to provide for them. And I was like, wow. I'm like, as if my life, or as if I was struggling with balance enough, or wasn't struggling with balance enough. I heard that and I'm like, wow, every time I do something for pleasure, I'm saying no to the people that I'm supposed to love with all my heart, that I preach this and that about how to do anything for these people, but yet I'm choosing to not get something done that could potentially help them and provide for them. And I was like, wow, and I felt about 100 more pounds of pressure on my shoulders. But it's good, Keeps life exciting, gives me a purpose. I can't believe we're at episode 5. How many episodes do we think we're going to get into here before I have to forget? Oh, hey, the answer is, I think, episode 4. I had to look on YouTube to see if it was episode 4 or 5 or whatnot. Craziness. I'm excited to get back to work because it is a good content maker. Last year I got a lot of content out of work. And I'm excited to just get into the routine again of work. That's the nice thing about landscaping, having the winter off, when we're not fencing. It's nice because I could dive into my study, hey, look at me. I'm in my fucking study. But I start to go stir crazy. I like to have a responsibility, that that is bigger than me. I mean, I have the responsibility every day to wake up and be productive, or I go absolutely manic. But it's bigger than me, and it's outside of me when I have responsibility. Like, I have these people that are relying on me to do these things for them, you know? It's like, no matter how I feel, I have to show up and do it. It's not just my own will, you know? And then I get a couple months into the summer, and then I'm pulling my hair out because I feel like I have no time and I have no balance and whatnot. It's an endless cycle. But I'm excited. We got to go tomorrow to get the truck ready, get everything greased up, oiled up, fixed, ready to rock and roll so we can go into the summer or the spring rather, guns blazing. I'm pretty excited. I think this is going to be a pivotal year. This is our 3rd year in business, and I'm really trying to go even harder this year. I'm excited. We're gonna stay balanced. Me and Riley came to that decision because last year we were getting like our 70 lawns done in 2 days, but they were like 16-hour days, and that burnt us out, I think. And by the end of the year, we were like fucking cooked. It's like, dude, holy shit. So we're going to be, try to get to work at 7, be out by like 3, 4 o'clock every day. Not just constantly going, you know what, let's just add more. We need to stay balanced so we can avoid burnout, And then we'd get done, and it's like, I don't even want to like do any book work or paperwork or whatnot, because I'm like, today was fucking 16 hours, So we need to have a healthy balance and go into this year not so full of piss and vinegar. Be precise, go in and execute effectively, and allow us to have some freedom, because we're in this for the long haul, not for, quick money and whatnot. And I was reflecting today on how this is going to be my 3rd summer, like, without a real job. Like, yes, when I go fence with Riley's dad and that's technically a real job, and whatnot, but it's like, man, I went the past 3 summers, like, haven't missed car payments or anything, and it's like, I've been able to provide for myself. Me and Riley have been able to provide for ourselves and go out and generate our own money, which is, it was kind of clouded. That perspective was fogged up just from being in the thick of it, And I haven't had time to reflect on it. I thought about that today when I was working with Riley's dad. I'm like, man, like, I haven't had like a proper job with a boss, which Riley's dad is technically my boss when I'm fencing, but it's like, I mean, his dad is such a good dude, one of the best people I've ever met. So it like doesn't feel like a boss, and he's not gonna fucking chew me out over shit. He's really level-headed and a good dude. So, and he doesn't make you feel like he's your boss, like, he makes you feel like you're an equal, which is super nice. But I don't know, thought about that today, and I was like, wow, I gotta stop being so hard on myself. It's like, man, I've worked this is gonna be my 3rd summer where I've generated, me and Riley, we've generated a good bit of money for ourselves, like, we've been able to pay our bills and not be crumbling. It's like all that just from working, believing in ourselves. And that's got me super motivated going into this year of like, let's blow it up. Let's do even more. Let's work harder, smarter. Try to just set ourselves up for the rest of our lives. That's all for this week. Thank you for tuning in. I hope your guys' coffee was absolutely delicious. I hope you are excited for the weekend. One more day of work, and then you get 2 days off, and then you repeat. But one must imagine Sisyphus happy. All right, I will talk to you guys next week. Enjoy your weekend. Peace.